838 Pippijn I, king of Aquitania, dies. In 1048 Al-Biruni, Iranian mathematician, astronomer and polymath, dies at 74. In 1124 Callixtus Roman II Guido di Borgogna, Italian Pope 1119-24, dies. In 1126 Henry Roman IX, the Black, Duke of Bavaria 1120-26, dies. In 1204 Maimonides Moses Ben Maimon, Sephardic Jewish philosopher, astronomer, and physician Mishneh Torah, dies in Cairo at 69. In 1250 Frederick II, Holy Roman Emperor 1220-50, King of the Romans Germany, dies at 55. In 1404 Albert I, Duke of Bavaria and third son of Louis Roman IV, Holy Roman Emperor, dies at 74. Florentine artist and Renaissance sculptor, dies at around 80. In 1516 Johannes Trithemius, German Benedictine Abbot of Sponheim, who amassed a monastery library of 2,000 books, dies at 54. In 1521 Manuel I, King of Portugal 1495-1521 during era of Portuguese exploration known as Manuel the Fortunate, dies at 52. In 1557 Niccolo Tartaglia, Italian mathematician, dies. In 1565 Conrad Gessner, Swiss physician and naturalist, dies at 49. In 1603 François Viète, French mathematician, dies in Paris b. 1540. In 1621 Katarina Stenbock, Swedish third wife of Gustav I of Sweden, dies at 86. In 1622 Jan Campanus, Czech composer, dies at 50. In 1650 Phineas Fletcher, English poet, dies at 68. In 1693 Dodovte, Romanian Metropolitan of Moldavia writer St. Lives, dies. In 1693 Willem van de Velde the Elder, Dutch seascape painter, dies at about 82. In 1716 Charles de La Fosse, French painter b. 1640. In 1721 Alexander Selkirk, Scottish sailor and castaway, inspiration for Robinson Crusoe b. 1676. In 1729 Anthony Collins, English philosopher, a discourse on freethinking, dies at 53. In 1738 Gotthard Wagner, German composer, dies at 59. In 1769 Christian Fürchtegott Gellert, German poet and novelist, Fables Tales, dies at 54. In 1774 Susanne von Klettenberg, German abbess and correspondent of Goethe, dies at 50. In 1783 Pehr Wilhelm Wargentin, Swedish astronomer, secretary of the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences, and demographer, dies at 66. English scholar and lexicographer, a dictionary of the English language, dies at 75. In 1793 Johann Joachim Christoph Bode, German literary translator, dies at 63. In 1812 Marianne Martinez, Austrian composer, dies at 68. In 1814 Charles Joseph, 7th Prince of Ligne, Belgian field marshal and author, dies at 79. In 1837 Herman of Alaska, Russian Orthodox hermit b. 1756. In 1862 Conrad Fletcher Jackson, U.S. Union Brigadier General, dies in Battle of Fredericksburg at 49. In 1862 Maxcy Gregg, American Brigadier General Confederate Army, dies in Battle of Fredericksburg at 48. In 1862 Thomas Reed Roots Cobb, Brigadier General Confederate Army, dies in Battle of Fredericksburg at 39. In 1863 Friedrich Hebel, German poet and dramatist Maria Magdalena, dies at 50. In 1868 Carl Friedrich Philipp von Martius, German botanist and explorer, dies at 74. In 1872 Helena Bielu, a maid, murdered by Henry Judt at The Hague, Netherlands. In 1872 W.T. van der Quinten Kate, murdered by Henry Judt at The Hague, Netherlands. In 1881 August Senoor, Croatian writer Kletva the Curse, dies at 43. In 1883 Victor de la Parade, French poet and critic, dies at 71. In 1894, Sarah Parker Remond, African-American abolitionist, dies at 68. 1895, Niels Jedlik, Hungarian physicist who developed the dynamo principle and Benedictine priest, dies at 95. In 1898, George Frederick Bristow, American composer Reb Van Winkle, dies at 72. In 1906, Jan Gerard Palm, Curaçao bandmaster, choirmaster, and composer known as the father of Curaçao's classical music, dies at 75. In 1908, Augustus Le Plongeon, French-American photographer and antiquarian, dies at 83. In 1909, Innocenty Anensky, Russian poet, critic and interpreter, dies of a heart attack at 54. In 1911, Reggie Duff, Australian cricket batsman, 23 tests, 104 on debut, dies of alcoholism at 33. In 1915, Francis Cockrell, American Brigadier General, Confederate Army, dies at 81. In 1919, Amintore Galli, Italian composer, dies at 74. In 1919, Waldemar Voigt, German physicist, discovered the Voigt effect, dies at 69. In 1921, Frederick Martin, cricketer, 14 WKTS in 2 tests for Eng 1890-92, dies. In 1922, Hans Hafstein, Icelandic politician and poet, b. 1861. American labor union leader, American Federation of Labor, dies at 74. In 1929, Knut Algot H. Kansen, Swedish composer, dies at 42. In 1930, Fritz Pregel, Slovenian-Austrian chemist, Nobel laureate, b. 1869. In 1931, Gustave Le Bon, French psychologist, b. 1840. In 1932, Georgios Jacobides, Greek painter, founded National Gallery of Athens, dies at 79. In 1934, Thomas A. Watson, American assistant to Alexander Graham Bell in inventing the telephone, dies at 81. In 1935, John Nicholson, cricketer, South African lefty batsman, 1926-27, dies. In 1935, Victor Grignard, French chemist, Nobel 1912, development of the Grignard reaction, dies at 64. In 1940, Dusty Tatscott, cricket bro of Doodles, 4-1 in only a SF test, dies. In 1940, George Macaulay, cricketer, took 24 WKTS in 8 tests, Eng 22-33, dies. In 1940, George Regaz, Greek actor, The Mark of Sorrow, dies at 50. In 1940, Jacques d'Assonville, French physicist and inventor of the moving coil d'Assonville galvanometer, dies at 89. In 1940, Wilfrid Lookers, Canadian actor, pardon us, chump at Oxford, dies at 69. In 1940, Leonard Everest Freer, American opera composer, The Legend of the Piper, dies at 78. In 1940, W. Władimir Ledachowski, Polish-Austrian priest, director of the Society of Jesus, dies at 76. In 1944, Lupe Viles, Mexican actress Joe Palker, Mexican Spitfire, intentionally overdoses on barbiturate seconal at 34. In 1944, Wassily Kandinsky, Russian-French abstract painter, dreamer inspiration, dies at 78. In 1945,